We've made it, well, we've kind of almost made it out of the underworld. So we were in Styx, we landed in the underworld. Now we're moving into Kali. We've landed in Kali. She's in our southwest place and it's Imbolc. So, like I posted a couple of days ago, this is the opportunity, or this is the time in our wheel of the year, in our seasonal wheel of the year, where we have an awareness of spring coming. We have an awareness of the days getting longer and the nights getting shorter. Yes, we've made it through that winter solstice. And there's just that sense of new beginnings and life unfurling and, planting those seeds so they can start to grow. So Kali is a very beautiful energy. But for those of you who also have heard of Kali before, you know she is the destroyer. But I like to think of Kali as not just being the indiscriminate destroyer, but ruthlessly discerning. So when I say ruthlessly discerning, and I do love, those two words together, it's about knowing what to say yes to and knowing what to say no to. Being able to go, oh, yes, that's a full body yes, and that's a no, and I'm not going there. So that's the energy that we're playing with right now, and Kali represents that for us. So when we're on our journey with Inanna, through all of the directions of the Wheel of the Year, as we've been following her around, and she heard the call when she was with the cat goddess, and then she prepared all of her things with Lakshmi before she went on her journey down into the underworld. Then as Aphrodite, she was making the descent through those 7 gateways of initiation, learning about, self-love and not comparing and not judging. And then we got to Styx, that was the winter solstice, and we had landed in the underworld. Erishka Gull, the queen of the underworld, had killed Inanna, put her corpse on a hook in the corner, and that represented the death of our old selves and the death of our ego. And when we're talking about the caterpillar, going into the cocoon and then coming out a butterfly, when we were in the winter solstice just last month, that was all about us completely being dead, being the goo, not being the caterpillar anymore. But now we're moving into Kali and it's time for rebirth. So in Inanna's story, when she doesn't come back after 3 days and 3 nights, she's asked her best friend, Ninshaba, to beat the drum and call for help if she doesn't come back. So she hasn't come back. She's been a corpse hung on a hook. So Ninshaba has started to beat that drum, and she's gone and she's looked for help, and she's asked family and friends if they could send help, and what can we do? How can we rally together to help Inanna come back? And she finally finds Inanna's grandfather Enki, who is willing to help, and he sends those 2 creatures. He creates these 2 little creatures and he sends them into the underworld, where they appease Erishka Gull by hearing her pain, by giving her understanding and love and seeing her in her distress. And as a reward for that compassion, for that neglected part of ourselves that Erishka Gull represents, being finally acknowledged and seen and loved, she gives those 2 creatures a reward. And the reward they ask for is to be able to take Inanna's corpse. And when they take Inanna's corpse off of the hook, they give her the food of life and they give her the water of life. And I just want to take just a little moment to say how important it is to have both the food and the water of life to be reborn. Because the food of life represents, our basic needs. So yes, we need to eat, we need to drink, we need to have shelter, we need to have those physical needs met. But the water of life is just as important for our rebirth, as we're crawling and breaking out of that cocoon, the newly formed butterfly that hasn't quite unfurled its wings and dried them off and got rid of those last little bits of the chrysalis. As we're in that space, we need the water of life, which is our emotional and spiritual needs being nourished, and what that looks like for you. So that is part of your Kali task as we're in Imbolc and moving towards spring, is to really get clear as that new butterfly, as that Kali energy that has ruthless discernment, that is saying yes to what she wants to bring with her and no to any of that baggage she wants to leave behind. Because really, as a newly formed butterfly, do you want to be weighing yourself down with more stuff than you need to? No, you don't. So let's make sure we cut that away. When we cut all of those things away so that we can emerge from that cocoon, then we get to be in a new way of being, a new fully formed, ready for spring, ready for new adventures way of being. And that is what Inanna received while she was still in the underworld. She received that food and water of life to be reborn. She couldn't do it without those things. She also could not do it without her family and her tribe. She wouldn't have got there without Ninshaba. She wouldn't have got there without her grandfather sending help. And they're a part of the food and water of life too. Who is your tribe? Where are they? How do they help you? Do you ask for help when you need it? Are you aware that you're going to be going through a difficult journey, and have you set up that support system? That was really important when we were back in that Lakshmi energy going through autumn, of setting up that space there to be able to go there so that we can travel into the unknown, into the underworld, into all of those scary spaces, knowing that we have those lifelines back out into the world to call on when we need them. So super, super important. What else did I want to talk about? Yes, it's Imbolc. Yes, we need to be more aware of what we're saying yes and no to, and that spring is coming. It's time to start celebrating. You've been reborn. You're a new thing. You're a goddamn gorgeous butterfly. So let's go there. But there's no rush. Slowly does it. As Inanna gets reborn in the underworld, she needs to slowly do her walk, her return journey home. And this is where it's also really important to remember the labyrinth teachings, which I will go into further later on. But really, the essence of the labyrinth teaching is knowing that the labyrinth is different to a maze, so it doesn't have dead ends and wrong ways. There's only one way in and one way out. And, our journey through the medicine wheel so far has been like moving through the labyrinth into the center. And, the winter solstice and dying and being in the cocoon, that was the center of the labyrinth. So now we've been reborn in the center, and we're going to start moving our way back out of the labyrinth again. But for any of us who have walked a labyrinth, you know that there's lots of twists and turns. And sometimes you can have been walking for a while and you feel like you're even further away from the start than where you were when you started. But the thing about the labyrinth is that you can't get it wrong. If you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep heading in the same direction, then you will come out the other side. You won't hit a dead end. You're not going to get it wrong. So just remembering, there's no rush, slowly does it. You're a newly emerging butterfly from the cocoon, so there's definitely time to reevaluate and check in and be present of where you are and what feels good and what doesn't feel good and what you want to take forward with you. The labyrinth teachings I've told you, celebrating the days getting longer. Oh my God, yes, spring equinox is just around the corner. The Kali is the destroyer. If you've seen her, she has numerous arms. One usually has a sword and a severed head, and she's standing on the corpse of a dead body, but not because she just kills everything. She only destroys that which needs to go. It's like weeding the garden. You don't pull everything out of the garden. You just get rid of the stuff you don't want there anymore so that there's more room to plant what it is you do want. We couldn't get back without our family. We needed the two creatures. We needed the grandfather. We needed Ninshaba. Who are those people for you? And even though Imbolc often is the 1st and 2nd of August, but this year actually officially lands on the 7th of August, Today we're building up to the full moon that's going to hit at like 2 a.m. tonight or tomorrow morning. And this full moon in Aquarius is a really, really perfect time for this re-emerging and to be tapping into this energy, this Kali energy. From what I could see with this full moon and what I'm feeling with this full moon is that it is about new awareness, but it's also about having a bit of a detached state, like not being so stuck in any of it, whether it's the story or the baggage, like to be ruthless, there is a certain detachment that needs to happen. So I know that that is a flavor with the full moon too, so really can work on that. And what else is going on with it? Yeah, that it's just an opportunity to be looking at the world in a new way. You're not looking at it with caterpillar eyes anymore. You're not the gooey mess in the cocoon anymore. You are the newly emerging butterfly and you have new eyes. You're going to be looking at things very differently. So this is your opportunity to really, really go there. We've looked at all that, yes. So I feel like that's everything that I wanted to give to you. Sorry, I'm a little bit scattered today. I'm just trying to squeeze this in around all of the thousands of things that want to be done, and that alone should be a reminder for myself to slow down, come back to the newly emerging butterfly. No need to rush any of it. Just be in this moment. And if you do want to go any deeper with any of these goddesses, come over and join our She Temple Women's group, because there's lots of little learning units where you can definitely get more of an idea of what each of these goddesses and each of these directions can represent and depict for you. And if you want to go even further into your own personal journey, I actually also provide goddess moon readings, which take into account your Native American moon astrology, and that gives you an idea of where you are on the medicine wheel and which goddess energy you're working with personally. So not the wheel of the year, the seasonal wheel of the year that we're looking at here now, where we're in the Kali energy, but where you might be, you could be in any of those directions. And when we know which direction we personally are in at any given time and which particular energy is coming up for us to look at, it can really just help us. Hey, Courtney, it can really just help us, most importantly, feel like we've got full permission to be exactly where we are right now. Because whenever I talk to anybody after I've done their goddess moon reading, and they're feeling like they're all over the place, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I'm feeling confused, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, we do their reading and it shows us that they are exactly where they're meant to be. And I just see them relax into that space, knowing that there's nowhere else they need to be, that they're perfectly on track. So if you do feel like you need a little bit of a realignment or a readjustment or a sense of knowing that you're where you are meant to be, then absolutely book in for one of those as well. So I'm going to leave you with all that Kali energy. I've already written lots of stuff about it. There's more in the She Temple group. It's awesome to see you. I'm so excited that spring is coming, and there's just so many seeds being planted and watered and growing, which you're all going to get to see very, very, very soon. And I'd love to hear about where you're at as well. What seeds are you planting? What is your food in the water of life? Is it walking on the beach? Is it watching a sunset? Is it talking to a best friend? It's so, so important that we know what those things are for ourselves as we move forward as this newly emerged butterfly. So enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all soon. Lots of love.